And the first thing to say is that the evidence that not going to school damages children in the long run is overwhelming. And that includes their long-term chances. It increases the risks of disparities, entrenches problems, deep-rooted problems that people may have. It increases the risk that they have mental and physical ill health in the long run. And the first thing to say really clearly is there is overwhelmingly clear evidence that the chances of children dying from COVID are incredibly small. And every single death of a child is an absolute tragedy, but the great majority of those very small numbers, both in the UK and internationally, have been in people who've got significant pre-existing health conditions. There's also very clear evidence from the UK and around the world that children much less commonly get severe illness, and they end up having to be hospitalised if they get symptomatic COVID at probably a rate of less than a tenth of that of the general population. And there's some evidence that children, particularly primary school children, are actually less likely to catch COVID in the first place. So the reason that's important to lay out is the chances of children catching COVID and then getting long-term serious problems as a result of it solely due to going to school are incredibly small. They're not zero, but they're incredibly small. The chances of many children being damaged by not going to school are incredibly clear, and therefore the balance of risk is very strongly in favour of children actually going to school, because many more are likely to be harmed by not going than harmed by going, even during this pandemic. Obviously there is an increased risk if people are mixing households, joining households together by whatever means, and children may catch it in schools, but it looks as if, and the evidence here is weaker, so you'll want to be clear about that, but it looks as if there is much less transmission from children to adults than from adults to adults. But there obviously is a small risk that might happen, but it is not probably going to substantially increase the risk for families directly from children catching it at school and passing it on. Now, there are other ways that schools are connecting households together. Parents meeting at the school gate, for example, and the fact that people who've got school-aged children can then, because their children in school, can then go to work and they'll meet other people. So the fact of schools being open will probably lead to some increase in transmission, but much of that is indirect. It's not so much the children passing it on, but the fact that schools are open allows more mixing of adults in the workplace and in other environments. There is, as with all workplaces, there is some risk of staff acquiring transmissions of COVID in schools. One of the things that it now looks, both from UK and other data, as if what happens is that a lot of this is staff spreading it to other staff members, and that's maybe actually more important than staff members catching it from pupils. So it's much like any other workplace, it's adults coming together and spreading it to one another. I think that re-emphasises the importance of maintaining social distancing not only in the classroom, which is very important, but also maintaining it in common rooms, in places people can meet, and in all the other environments outside the classroom.